was good. So there's another one that I've been looking into, which is it's a mental model, and it's called Explore versus Exploit. Maybe you've heard of it before. It's one which, to be honest with you, I think over the years it keeps coming back to me, either in conversations with people or like an article that I've read online, or just it randomly pop up in the back of my mind again. And this is one where, especially after moving to London, I've kind of realized that I've been, or rather I was, in an explorative space for like the past, probably before lockdown. So probably like around three years ago, 3 and a bit years ago. And it's kind of made me realize that people need to become, like, you know what, let me actually just read off of the stuff I've written on it, because I think I'm going to just ramble for ages. But first things first, I kind of talked about how you want to become comfortable with trying things out. You really need to become comfortable with it and not feel ashamed, or look for other people to give you permission to experiment and try new things, go outside your comfort zone, and to explore different options, man. If it's even a creative artistic field and you're someone who works like corporate finance or something, you have to try it out. You owe it to yourself to go through and try it out. There's so many people who, I can't remember who said this specifically, but there's a quote where they say, the place with, it's like the area that has the most ideas is the graveyard. And oh, man, now that point, it doesn't hit hard enough. The quote was something like, the area that has the most dense population of ideas is the graveyard. That definitely hits harder. But basically my point is, people, at the end of the day, they don't explore enough. They don't try out loads of different things. They see a friend trying something out, maybe they watch a YouTube video and they're like, oh, that looks kind of cool. It'd be interesting if I did it as well. But by their default state is to shut things down, especially if it doesn't abide by the path that they're on, or rather the default path that society has set and told them that they need to follow. And that's incredibly harmful, like for your own potential in the long run. I feel as if I've probably talked about this in a previous video, but my point still stands, man. Like, you need to be comfortable with exploring different options and trying out a whole bunch of different stuff. Literally just before this one, I kind of talked about the skill stacking and how at the end of the day, bro, like literally the most unrelated skills, the most unrelated experiences that you have, in foresight, you might think, you might not even see the connection between the two, but as you pursue a certain skill and the more experience that you get, or maybe that skill introduces you to someone or something else and leads you down another path. And then in hindsight, you realize you can see the whole connection of everything. And my point is this, like, if you look at successful people, all of them have gone through an explorative phase, or maybe even if they had a career that maybe they're an athlete and they were extremely focused and honed in on one specific area growing up, after they retire, a lot of them go into business, or a lot of them suddenly go into coaching. Like, a lot of them go into other fields as well. And then you realize that at the end of the day, like, the person that they're becoming, the character, the challenge that they need to overcome, it's so varied that they just become a lot more like a human being who just has more of a depth to themselves. And I'm not necessarily saying that you should like try and become the most interesting, sophisticated person in the world. Like, nah, man, like, who cares about that shit? The main thing is this, like, you want to become someone who just lives life to the fullest. Like, you can't just be stuck on one path, especially if you're someone who already has these thoughts, or you're just a naturally curious individual. And human beings in general, like, we aren't meant to just be robotic. We aren't meant to be doing the same thing over and over and over again. We're explorers. Like, we go outside our comfort zone, we go to new lands, we have new innovations, new ideas. We go out and we explore and we share our ideas to help humanity move forward. Modern society and the way that we live in, I guess, modern civilization, whatever, it really, really hones in on making you focus and stick to a default path. And in general, you got to understand that if you find yourself in that situation and you feel as if, oh, I can delay, you know what, let me just carry on doing what I'm doing, because these goals, these dreams, I'll get to them in the future. You gotta understand that, fair enough, obviously you want to move in a way that's sustainable, and especially if you've got people depending on you or whatever, you definitely can't. You need to move precisely and be strategic in how you live life. But in the long term, you need to go through an explorative phase where you try out different things, especially if you're someone who you know intuitively, internally, you know that there's more to life than what you're doing right now. Because that feeling isn't going to go, and it's not going to go away. So you can either continue to try and suppress it, try and ignore it, but at the end of the day, it's gonna come back. It's not gonna go away. So let me bring it back to the point. Not everything you try out in life needs to work out 10 out of 10 amazingly. But rather, the main thing is you need to view life from kind of like a bird's, like a top level down perspective of you're on this path, the journey right now, and there's so many different alleys and paths that you can take. And every time you go through this explorative phase, you kind of, it's you traveling a new direction. And only in hindsight will you understand the importance of going through those periods. And for example, for myself, I've been producing music since I was like younger. And for me, it was like coming through to London, it was like calm, all in on music, let me produce, let me sell type beats, let me try and like build something online. Like selling beats online or some kind of sample pack for other producers, kind of like e-commerce store or something like that. That was my thinking basically a year ago. And I was doing that. Alongside that, I was kind of like getting like videography, filming, just messing around basically, just learning random shit. I'll be honest with you. And half the time, it definitely felt like, bro, what am I doing with my life? I'm wasting my time. I might as well just go back to work and just double down and focus on that shit like immediately. That's how I felt so many times, especially when rent was due, bills are due, and like you got stuff to sort out, and you can't rely on, and like there's no one's there for you, man. You got to sort this stuff out yourself. So I think a lot of the time I definitely felt like, what am I doing, man? Like I'm literally acting like this is a waste of time. I need to get back to work and actually like earn an income and gain stability for myself. But only now am I actually realizing that all of those were just me exploring, me trying out loads of different things. And I'm certain many years from now on to the future, I'm still going to have those periods where I'm trying out loads of different things. And the way that I see it is, we as humans, we're meant to live life in seasons. We're meant to have a season when we're going out, trying things out, getting outside our comfort zone, gaining new memories, meeting new people, gaining new skills. And then there's also periods in our life where we need to double down and focus and build, or just work on some kind of project and just obsess about it all in, and just go all in. Very little to zero distractions. And for me, my main message is we need that balance of the two. If you are overly exploring things, but you're just hopping from like, it's just kind of like a grass is greener mentality, and you're not really focusing on, or rather I should say you aren't putting a good amount of reps into something to see it through and actually understand, you know what, this actually isn't for me, let me try out this next thing, then fair enough, like that also is important. But at the same time also, if you're someone who is too scared to venture off this path that you're on right now, and you're so like rigid that you aren't flexible, you don't want to try out new things, or rather in the future, like you haven't even set a date in mind of, I'm going to do this until this time period, and then I'm going to spend the next 3 months trying to learn a new skill, or trying to go into like a new field, or just something where it's just different to your day to day. Do that for a few decades, you realize life goes like that, and you're already an old person. If you're fortunate enough that your health even lasts that long, right? So you just don't want to have regrets in life. And everything I'm saying right now is literally just a message to myself. This is a mirror right now. I'm just speaking to myself as well. And the main thing is this. In life, we live life in seasons. There's seasons to explore, and there's seasons to exploit and go all in and just obsess about something. And personally for me, I've come to realize that the times where I felt like, what am I doing with my life? I'm just wasting time with these mini projects. I'm not seeing any returns. Like, what am I doing? Like, stop acting like some waste man and focus on your priorities. Like, it was that kind of mental talk that I had for so many months, especially once I moved down to London and I was trying to get by, as well as like trying to sort rent, bills, all that kind of stuff. But only now, looking back, do I understand the importance of those periods, and I got a bit more clarity, because without going through that, I still would be wondering what if in the back of my head. So my main point is, if you're someone who has that what if going in the back of your mind, or you're someone who's thinking of, I kind of wish I tried this out, I wish I could write something, I wish I followed my dreams of becoming like a writer or whatever, and you haven't done it, that feeling isn't going to go away. Even if you're still on your deathbed, it's still going to be there. So it's not going to magically disappear. So my point is, I understand that it's easier said than done. But look, everything in life that's worth it, everything in life that's fulfilling does not come easy. So you got to get to it and figure out a way to get it done. And figure out a way how you're not going to at least pursue those goals or continue to suppress those thoughts, those intuitive feelings, your intuition that you have within you. Anyway, I'm rambling, man. I don't think I even followed the notes which I wrote on my phone. But yeah, that's basically the main thing.